Don't blink, it's your blink. Welcome to the Comfort Show. I'm doing well because I'm having a wonderful day on this. Oh, phone is too hot. Well, what do you expect? Give me a sec. It's not a bad thing though. We've been filming for 10 minutes. And the phone was charging before we came out, so it was possibly hot to begin with. I just wanted to make a quick video saying that lately I have been loving life. I've been really having a good time in life lately, and I just wanted to come on here, not to necessarily brag, but to, you know, we had a rough last month. We had a rough last 2 weeks, and we're doing a lot better. Yes, I'm covered in mosquito bites. It is insane. Ugh. This feet is not bad. This leggy, but still, all of these are fucking mosquito bite though. It's bad. Yeah. So I just want to come on here and say that I love life. Like for example, yesterday I took the time to answer your comments, and it was really nice. And there's two things in comments where yesterday, and I started to say, I wish it was you guys, but just this. It has been momentous. It has been memorable. But it's so nice. Like, for example, like, even 2 weeks ago, I felt the need to go out of the house, to film out of the house. So I was finding the footage boring, you know? And this is just a proof that, do I like to go out? Of course. Do I think that I'm going to be able to get a spectacle like that? No, of course not. However, the simple thing, right? Like for example, I've been sleeping more, which is great. I've been waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, which I'm not used to. But at the same time, it's a good thing because the whole day is mine. I get the sunlight. I get the sun. Like in my apartment. When it comes to life, I'm a night owl. I've always been a night owl. However, I gotta say, it is quite nice to be up in the night. It's so rare too. More thing. Well, I have this job. I had this interview for this job that I didn't want in the beginning. Why did I want the job? I told the story before. I'm gonna say it again. It's a job that I was working before, which was great. A lot of hours, a lot of cash, but health-wise, it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. It's one of those places that, you know, it's not recommended to work there, I guess. So of course, a bit nervous, and then I was desperate, right? And then there's kind of this, and I know people that are gonna hear that are gonna be like, I don't know, disappointed with me, I guess. But that's your choice. I went there desperate to apply. I went there desperate. I needed a job. I needed a job. I needed a job. Then Better Resources, the agency I work with, they came in and they offered me a good job. Now this good job is in jeopardy because somebody from the company, I cannot tell you what I'm working because I don't know how long I'm gonna be working there. But basically, what they do is they supply grocery stores, which is a great thing. And because they supply grocery stores, there's a lot of food. However, we'll get it in bulk. So what we do is we prepare orders. So for example, this IGA needs 200 units of a set product. So you're going to do a pallet of those products, right? And you're going to be doing an inventory. My job is more inventory. We work in the freezer, which is nice. Somebody has been stealing, and it's common knowledge. People see him. He's not ashamed of it. I don't know why. And of course, at first he was stealing some small stuff. And he was stealing some Reese's. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. The chocolate bar, the Reese's. And last Friday, which was 1 week ago today, I saw him steal a pound of bacon. Yeah, so Omi is getting greedy. I understand why he's doing it though. I mean, he did something wrong and didn't get reprimanded. He did something wrong, got caught, no consequences. Also, it's an job, so agency, it's such a complex, it's so complex. Agency workers are seen badly. There you go. See, cold enough. So this is good. The cheese is perfect. Oh, by the way, I was on Reddit today, and I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but the tower overheating the phone is normal. This is what's going on. I thought it was the phone. I thought it was the temperature. No, it's the tower. So hey, my bad. So with the agency, there's this mentality of it's not a permanent job, so why do I care? And I went there. I've been there. I've been in those shoes. I've been in this exact feeling of why do I care about the job I'm not gonna have? So when you start with an agency, and I know it's not good to talk about, but I don't care. When you start with an agency, it's just a feeling of I'm gonna get hired. Hopefully, this is just a temporary setback. I'll get hired by the company, and then you do one company, and then you do two companies, and then you do three companies. You don't get hired, and then your mentality of I'm gonna get hired is different. So you start not giving a shit, right? I remember one of my worst experience working, honestly, was this place. They were selling furniture. And I was working, and I was trying to work my best, and I was trying to do my best and work as much as possible. And again, and the worst thing happened. And the worst thing was what? The worst thing was that I was working with two people, and those people, they decided this morning that they didn't want to work. They were agency workers, so they decided to hide. And they got fired. I got fired, and they didn't get fired. Like, what the fuck? But at the same time, the company that I'm working there, it's such a different story. It's such a different story. I was one of the agency workers that they kept because I was a good worker, So yeah, as an agency worker, your mindset is this is temporary, and because this is temporary, I don't need to be making or putting in as much effort as I would normally, I guess. But then at the same time, all the companies that I've been are treating agency worker like shit. There was two companies that I didn't have that. The first company was taking out it was unloading trucks and then reloading them with furniture. So we would get it was crazy. This job was insane. You would get boxes, like IKEA boxes of furniture, and you would have to build them, and then you would build them, and then you would fill the truck with built furniture. So it's completely nuts. And then they didn't give me shit because most people there, and that's insane, but there was 4 employees in that company. The 4 employees, the rest was all agency worker. My boss, my manager, was an agency worker, which I never saw before. I never seen that before. I never even heard of that before. And the craziest thing is they made him, and this is personally speaking, this is wrong. This is something that I don't condone. I never understand. Again, this is a true story. You love enough, bro? You love enough? They were giving him the same salary as an old person, but then he would have to answer for bullshit. When he made me assistant manager, I'm like, no, I need more money. It's like, I don't get more money. Why would you get more money? I'm like, so why do I have to suffer? Well, because you've been working here the longest. Like, oh fuck, And then I just left. Fuck that. It wasn't toxic, but it was just bad. And then the good thing is they moved a little bit after, because they moved a little bit after. I could have not worked there anymore, so kind of bad for good. And then the second company that I had the problem was PCT, the company that I used to work, my last job, if you will, because it was such a small company that it didn't matter, and it was always like 1 or 2 employees. The problem with agency is most of the time it's like they're 15. When you have 10, 15, it's easy to have a couple that are shit worker versus the entire. When you have a small company where you only hire a couple people from agency, if there's a problem, fire him, right? But then when you have to manage 10 people that are not working for you, but are working for an agency, and you're only dealing with the agency, it's like a triangle. No, you know what? I'm going to take the Trailer Park Boys thing. It's like a V, right? This is the workplace, and this is agency worker, right? They never communicate. They need to go down this common point. The common point is the agency, right? And the agency is a bunch of document pusher or pencil pusher. So a lot of time, there's no communication, then there's bad bloods, you know. All this to say, they sent me there, and they sent me at this company, and this was the first company that I actually wanted to work at long term. So my first job, it wasn't the video wasn't about that, but we'll touch about it. I want to do more content today. I'm in a good mood. I'm talkative. I'm in a good mood again. I'm talkative again. So let's do some videos. So the first job that I did was a place called Costco. My first employment was Costco, but it wasn't great because I had a boss on the weekend that was super kind, and I had a boss during the week that was a complete asshole. And they had a really different way to do things, and it was like, oh, this is my shift, I do what I want. And the person that suffered was the employees, you know. So it didn't work. And I'm gonna sound like an asshole, okay? But please, before you judge me for being an asshole, I was 18, right? So I didn't know better. And this was my first experience, so I was immature with workforce. So I go in, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be working here my whole life. But you know what? You know what's the craziest part? If you ask 18-year-old Ing Vendetta, I don't even know what I want to do. I don't even know. I don't even know. If you ask 25 years old Ing Vendetta, do you know what you want him to do? No. Did you ask 28 years old Ing Vendetta, you had an ID, which was making content. And if you had 29 years old Vendetta, if you ask 29, 30, 31, 32, Vendetta, I know what I want to do, right? I want to make content. So Costco, I didn't see myself. We had IGA. IGA was it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful nightmare. IGA was possibly the place that I had the best experience. Because first of all, it was very social. IGA was very, very social in a sense that I didn't really have people in my life. I didn't have friends, but IGA was a group of students. So they were super chill. I remember there was this guy, and we were always, and it's so fucking crazy because I was working in bakery, and he was working in ready to eat, and the ready to eat. This guy, Nicky, I love Nicky. I love Nicky. Nicky was a good dude. There was at this place there was IGA, and I'm sorry, what I'm gonna say is gonna be extremely bad, extremely almost misogynistic. I am not misogynistic. This is we had a lot of we didn't have a lot of dude employees, but the dude, they were always together. Like for example, we had Dimitri. Dimitri was a super cool dude. Did talk a lot. We had Alex. Alex was the bigger brother of everybody. He was 32 years old, but he was still that child mentality. We had the twin. The twin were so cool. I had a girl that she didn't use me, but she liked the attention I give her. So then I sent her a text. I'm like, hey, I want to be more than a friend. And she should have texted people. And then the twins, that was the craziest thing. I was working there for 6 months. She was working there for 3 years. The twins were working there for 3 years. The twins were almost best friend with her. And they came to me. And like, yo, she showed the text. So, you know, that was super cool. And everybody thought she was you know. Anyway, that's not a big deal. But the best was Nicky, because Nicky, I was working with him, and Nicky was a piece of shit. But you know the brother type of piece of shit. So Nicky, I was, like I said, for example, I'm here, and Nicky is the neighbors. So whenever I was looking at Nicky, he would give me the finger, just because he's an asshole. just because he's an asshole. It was amazing. It was amazing, and the bakery was tough because this thing that I didn't like about the job, and this was my ADHD. So he would give me a paper, and this is what you need to do, right? And I was working alone. They would kind of manipulate me, knowing I'm not the kind of guy to say no, knowing the kind of guy to just do. What I would do is I would have the paper, and they imply that if you can do most of it, cool. If you can't do the whole thing, it's good. But I had a mentality of I have to do the whole thing. And with ADHD, what you do is you wait until the last second. So I would do 8 hours job and treat 4 hours. The cool thing was my boss didn't care. The not cool thing was I had this. I have a lot of a coworker that would give me a shit, because I was. For example, there's a customer that came to me, and she was like, "Hey, what are these?" And I didn't know what it was, but I had a mentality of selling. So I was like, okay, well, these are good. And like she said, this is red and this is green. What is it? So well, red is strawberry and green is lime. She said, oh, thank you so much. I said, no problem. It was both cherry. So I lied to get to sell, but hey. Then after IGA, I went to AEW. AEW was super cool. AEW was super cool. But it was, AEW was also a great, really, really good place to work at. I met. It's funny. I was 21 when I was working at AEW. I met my first love that could have worked. And I was such a pussy to make a move. And then one of my friends at AEW. And then the whole thing came to shit. But AEW was good. However, AEW had a group of people that was there for 2-3 years. And then there was a group of people that was new, and you could tell there was separation between the two. And it was also a lot of beef. There was also a lot of beef. So I had this girl, and she was into me, and I was into her. She would miss the bus for me, but I was too much of a pussy. That girl, Fresia, I have to text her. Fresia was amazing. Fresia, it was so cool. She used to work during the day. So she was working at from 9 to 5, if I'm not wrong. And I was at night shift, so I was working from 3 to 11:30, and she was sleeping. And then she would tell me, "Hey, call me when you're done." And I would call her, and she was sleeping. And I'm like, oh, "I'm so sorry, I woke you up." I said, "No, I want to talk to you." It was really cool. But like I said, our best friend, oh, dude, my best friend was also my best friend, and then things really changed. But that's not important. Oh, phone is too hot. It's okay. As long as I can hear the phone is too hot, I don't mind. What pisses me off about the phone being too hot is if I miss content. This has pissed me off because I'm like, holy shit, you didn't pay attention. But I don't want to look at the phone forever. And then that's why. You guys wanted to know why I felt always there? It wasn't because of the landscape. It was because I could see the phone. That's it. So then AEW, it was so fucking stupid. There was this guy who used to flirt with the girl that I like, and he would flirt, and so it's complex. So what happened is, with Fresia, we had a thing. One of the manager kind of liked me, but I wasn't into her. Nothing wrong with her. I just wasn't. She was older. She was 28. I was 20. She had life figured out. I didn't have life figured out. I was 21, sorry. And also, she didn't want kids. I wanted to have kids. Versus Fresh, which was 22. No, Fresh was, I think it was 19. So there was this guy, and he flirted with her, and he used to flirt with her. And I remember, oh my god, this is, oh my god. This is the beginning of Ink Vendetta. This is really the beginning. One of the first things because the beginning of what made Ink Vendetta is a couple movie, V for Vendetta, Fight Club, Kenny vs. Benny, Trailer Park Boys, of course, a bunch of anime. But what really, these are all inspiration. These are all in my head. The very first move of Ink Vendetta was that there was this guy and he was flirting with her, and he would make her really uncomfortable because he would talk about how big his cock is. And I remember one time coming in, and I didn't even punch in. And I went to see her because I wasn't a good employee. I couldn't remember how to make a burger. But then again, you made me work one day out of the week. So I'm supposed to take my time and just study a burger. No, fuck you. No. So I remember not punching in. I just wanted to see Fresh because I miss her. and I heard the guy say, "I would break the bed with you." And I remember, and that was one of the most gangster things that I ever done. I was so proud of myself, and I moved right past him, right next to me. I didn't touch him, I didn't talk to him, and I was like, "Hey, I'm really happy to see you," and we hugged, and it was like just a dominance thing, and it was super sweet. And then he was like, "Oh, you're together?" And I told him, "Yes, leave her alone." And he never did again. But the problem with AW was I wasn't a good worker because I didn't know the burger. So then she said I was nice. She didn't want to fire me, so she would give me 4 hours of work per week. Now little did she know I had another job, so I didn't care about the money. It didn't really matter to me. So I was like, okay, well, you can give me this amount of time. I don't care. But then the problem was people really, really liked me there. Really liked me. I was the youngest, but I was also like super. Okay, so if you work in restoration, you'll learn one thing. There's always infighting between the team. The back of the house, which is the kitchen, will always fight more than half of the job. In majority of job, the back of the kitchen will always fight with the front of the kitchen, because when there's a problem, it's easy to point fingers. More easy to point fingers than to point at yourself. But me, because I was working only one day a week, I didn't care. Oh, the front of the house made a mistake, it happens. The back of the house had made a mistake, I'm sorry, you know? So we would come together, and I was the only one that kind of had a foot in both crew. So they really liked me. So what I would do is one person, and this is crazy. I would get one shift, my shift. I would get one shift from the person in cooking in the kitchen, and I would get one shift. And it sucks because I had this guy called Savvy, and I love Savvy. Savvy was an older brother to me. Savvy was super cool. Savvy was Savvy was a good dude. I love Savvy. Savvy was this guy that we just got really along well, and he was a super cool dude. But he had his guard up, so Savvy thought he was a bad boy. Savvy thought he was a gangster, and then I started calling him Savvy because it was just like a little sweetheart name, like, you know. With the boys, we'll do this a lot, be super gay with each other because it's funny. And then there was another guy who called him Savvy, and he'd say, "You don't fucking call me like that." And then the guy said, "Yeah, but he calls me like that." Yeah, but him is cool. I'm like, okay, thank you. And Savvy, I feel so bad because Savvy had a fucking kid, and that kid was like 3 years old, and he was a single dad, and he would give me shit, and he would give me shift. So I was like, "Bro, you need that money more than I do." But at the same time, I cannot say no to a shift, and I would get a shift for the kitchen, from the front of the house. So I was supposed to work 3 hours. It's a minimum of 4 hours per shift. So the least can give you is 4 hours per week. But instead of doing 4 hours, I was doing 20 hours, and I was doing 20 hours. Oops, I died. It's okay. The best I did. So I would do 20 hours per week. You know what's crazy? The flies will eat the skin. So the mosquito mainly have a scab, and the fly will eat the scab. This is Mother Nature. People think that flies are dirty, but they're not. They're one of the insects that cleans themselves the most. So what they do is they're I don't know how you call it in English. They eat cadavers. So they eat so you know when you talk about carnivore, talk about herbivore, talk about omnivore, flies will eat cadaver. So necro something, not necrophilia, that's something else. But yeah. Like you can see that with vulture, and the same thing. When they see the dead piece of skin, they'll eat it. And the best thing about the piece of skin is that they'll clean the wound. So they take away a whole scab, they'll clean it, and then they'll have a new scab, which is great. So what happened with A&W? There was this girl, and she was a piece of shit. She was really mean, and at that time, it's funny because I was obsessed with getting versus Penny, so I became really good at reading people, and I said I was good at reading people, and she was sad, dude. She was sad, and I came in for one shift, and she gave me shit. She told me shut up. She told me fuck you. So I was like, dude, I work here once a week. You're not gonna tell me that. And she said, what are you gonna do? I said, well, I'm gonna quit. And at that time, there was only 2 people. I stayed for Savvy though. Savvy was a cool dude, so I stayed for Savvy. But apart from that, I was like, fuck you, dude. And I left for that. Then I worked for Simon. But Simon was more of a friend than a coworker. So that was a problem, because if I made a mistake, Simon would defend me, but it was complex because it was a family business, and he took care of. Simon was an older brother to me. I met him in IGA. When I talk about my mentors, Simon was one of them. Was the first, one of the greatest. He really took care of me because he saw potential. So the reality is, Simon wanted to have his own business, and he was looking for employees for his business, people he could trust, people he could form, right? But Simon, what I didn't like about that was it was a family business. So when I came in, whenever I made a mistake, Simon would defend me, but he would defend me against his family. Like, hey, your boy did something wrong. I know, mom, and I didn't feel like that was cool. I felt bad for the relationship between the son and the mom, you know. And then I started having then I started having some agency work. Agency work were different. I had Fabriville. Fabriville was great. It was really cool. Fabriville was what it was. You put furniture together, so you'll have a piece of wood, you'll have holes, you just put in the pieces in between. So for example, it's sort of like Lego, if you will. It's a big stick with 2 rounds. The rounds go in the hole, right? So that's all you have to do. You have to put it in the hole, you have to smash it a little bit with a hammer. Not hard enough to have marks, but hard enough to it to stick. And then we put glue, which was good. It was just too far though. I would do 1 metro, and I would do an hour and a half of metro, and then I would do an hour and a half of traffic. So I was doing almost 5 hours of transport per day. It was too much. Then the next place that I had was, what is the next place? I had Novatech, which I'm not even gonna mention this place because it was disgusting. It was bad. They used to put you had to put in your digital print to go for a break. They would gate you in. If you want to go to the bathroom, you have to knock on the window. That way they open the window. It was bad. And then there was just a lot of drug usage from employees. Like, I remember one time I found a syringe. They're like, you care about us working 8 hours and not stealing time for the bathroom. You don't care if your employees are doing syringe in the locker room, you know? So I just left. And then the next job that I had was a place that I'm working, well, I could be working then. And it was disgusting. It was, back then, what I first thought I had was, and this is crazy, I never told the story before. My best friend, Carl, you guys know Carl, right? Carl was working, he lived in Dorval. Dorval and Lachine are neighbor. So a lot of people from Dorval are going to be working in Lachine, and a lot of people from Lachine are going to be working in Dorval. It's proximity, right? So one of the cousin of Carl was working there. He got really sick. So Carl was like, don't work there, dude, don't work there. And my father was a welder, and this place has to do with metal. So my father was like, don't work there, don't work there. Again. So now you're doing it kind of often. Which is not good. Which is not good at all. So you hear the, right? This is bad. This is really bad. Yesterday we didn't have problem. Well, today is 21. Shit, almost fucked up. 32 degrees, right? So Reddit give me, they're giving me so much fucked up things. Because I use Reddit kind of for dating. So they'll give me every single page for dating, you know? Quebec, I said the name, I'm sorry. Fuck, I said the name. Fuck. They're 16 years old this year, so kind of big thing. I came in and I saw a place. There was literal smokes. It was, the ground was disgusting. I used to come back home and I would have, I swear to God, this is not a joke, I would have dust till my nape. And my father was like, oh, what the fuck happened? I'm like, well, I'm working. Like, this is not healthy. And I worked there for an agency. So the cool thing with Quebec, it was a learning experience. It was the classical place of union. It was my first job within union, actually. And it would say, "Hey, work class, you're making the rest of us look bad." And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm here to work, you know. And there's more to the story than that. If I was to tell you, okay, what is more? Well, it's actually quite simple. I had done 3 places with the agency. This place was insane. Quebec was insane. Why? Because I could listen to music, but it was 20 minutes away from my house. This is the closest place I've ever worked. IGA was crazy. IGA wouldn't give me a lot of hours, because IGA, we had a bakery department with 7 employees when usually you have 4, so it was part time. I couldn't even afford the bus pass. So then what I had was my bike. But I was late one day, and I didn't lock my bike. So somebody stole the front wheel, and I couldn't use the bike anymore. So it was that, and then I used my skateboard. The skateboard was good though. It was 40 minutes of skateboard. Back then, the skateboard was my #1 tool. I would do the skateboard from this. I did Quebec. Quebec was taking 10 minutes, 15 minutes by skateboard, which was good. And that's pretty much it. So Quebec was the very first place, and I was like, okay, well, this is a good job, I'm not losing it. And it was at Lachine. The pay was good, but it was more than that. It was the fact that it was such a perfect job. Again, okay, so we're talking about honesty. Okay, let's go with honesty. Let's really go with honesty. It was a perfect job because when it was busy, but most of the time it wasn't busy. So what you do is you have like they call it balançade, which is a bridge, and you fill the bridge with pieces. And then when the bridge is filled with pieces, you have to wait for the what should we call it? This was dumb shit, guys. I'm telling you, dumb shit. But it's unionized, that's why. So what they would do is there was a button to ring, like a button that, and then the Lyft driver would come and pick it up. But the Lyft driver, if he was picking up something else, it would take 10 minutes, and then he would pick up the thing, and he would bring it to another place, and then you would put in another bridge, right? So in between bridges, you had like 30-40 minutes, right? Which you did nothing. Now, here's the thing. With bridges, it depends. Some bridges, I swear to God, this is true. You had 1 pieces. It was 1 pieces, but that was really, really big. Some of them, you had 3 pieces that were really big, you know? So you just had to take a hook and hook it to the beam.